hearty welcome to one and all. This is episode 77 of the Confessions of a Not So Dangerous Mind podcast. I'd like to thank you for spending some of your Saturday evening with me. We actually had a nice day in New York. I don't think there was a drop of rain. Feels like it's been weeks since we didn't have at least a little rain. Most days it just pretty much rained all day. But if you're checking out episode 77 on the YouTube channel and are enjoying the content, haven't done so already, please click like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Or if you check out episode 77 on the audio platforms such as Spotify or iTunes, click like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. So I was on my social media on Instagram, I saw a story from a movie-loving acquaintance from across the pond, as they say. And she mentioned how she was she was watching a movie that she had already seen, and then while watching it, realized she hadn't in fact seen it. And it sounds ridiculous, but there are people, especially if we're talking about a franchise, that maybe quite some time ago saw one movie and they're not savant like me and get it mixed up with another. So I know someone very well who had seen Aliens, the James Cameron 1986, and thought that that was Ridley Scott's 1979 original. That's actually more than one person I know that exact thing happened, where they start watching the Ridley Scott original and like, I remember there being like Marines or people with machine guns. What movie is that? Well, that's not this movie. So that got me thinking of something that happened a little over a year ago, where thanks to Justin Long, who was this kind of light comic actor, the movie Accepted, I thought was a scream. I like what he did in Live Free or Die Hard with Bruce. And some of his TV work. And he's someone I've always followed. I think he's terrific on social media. His Instagram is also a riot. He has fun with it, likes to interact with fans. So sometime in the final quarter of 2022, just scrolling on the computer, and I see a movie review, a horror film starring Justin Long, and I just kind of glanced through it. And the reviewer really liked it, and the reviewer mentioned something about Justin Long in a scary house. Okay, Justin Long in a scary house. So a couple of months later, people are talking about a movie, Barbarian, and I'm beginning to see it just on Facebook, not even in general, just Facebook feed. Barbarian, Barbarian, Barbarian. You've got to see it. Holy shit. Stephen King comes out. This is phenomenal. I love this. Another thing I like about Stephen King, that he's all over. If he doesn't like something, he'll let you know. But if he thinks something is scary to him, he loves sharing with, and this is terrific. So many people are recommending this movie. And I hadn't heard of it. Then I said, oh, Justin Long. This is that movie. And I didn't think I was going to Google the title. I just remember this review, Justin Long, horror movie, and it was playing in theaters, so I wouldn't have had a chance to, but I couldn't remember the name of the film. All right, Justin Long in a horror movie, creepy house. Well, it must be this one, right? You know, it's like the old Arnold Schwarzenegger in Total Recall, where he's originally Hauser and now he's Quaid. And somebody who knew Hauser says, I heard you got tortured to death. Cohagen tortured you to death. And Arnold, as only Arnold can, goes, well, I guess he didn't. I'm sitting here. I'm alive. I guess he didn't torture me to death, right? Well, if there's a horror movie starring Justin Long and a creepy house, it must be Barbarian, right? Process of elimination. How many horror movies could Justin Long be in at the same time where there's a creepy house? So, Barbarian premieres on what was at the time HBO Max and which is now Max. I fire it up, and right away, hey, that's Bill Skarsgård. This looks like a creepy house. There's an Airbnb screw up, we think. But it's Bill Skarsgård, and we know that he played the vampire. We know he played the clown, Pennywise, in It. And he's in another horror movie. He's going to turn out to be a dastardly villain. And the movie starts unfolding. There's the mix-up, and I thought that I had this house, and you have the house, and I'm sorry. And Georgina Campbell is terrific. They're starting to connect. In the meantime, the movie is going. It's 10 minutes. It's 15 minutes. And I'm thinking to myself, when is Justin Long gonna show up? This creepy house. The movie continues. We're 20 minutes in. No Justin Long. 25 minutes in. And I start thinking, like, I'm watching the movie, I'm not on my phone. And I'm saying, what the hell? Something's got to be wrong here. This can't be that movie, but how many Justin Long horror movies with creepy houses could there possibly be? So I start thinking, while I'm watching Barbarian, and I'm riveted to the screen as shit starts to go wrong, but I'm remembering there was something else in the review. There was another piece of information about this movie that I thought was Barbarian, and it said something about Justin Long meets a woman in a bar and goes back to her place. And I said, well, what the fuck? When does that happen in this movie? They're already at the house. So finally, all of this crazy bullshit takes place. Again, I'm not going to spoil it. It's a really good horror movie. Justin Long does not show up until the 43-minute mark of Barbarian. And by that point, I'm like, okay, this can't be right. And there's no fucking way. But I was so riveted by the first, 40% of the movie that I wasn't like on the phone. I'm watching and I can't believe the shit that's going on in Barbarian. So finally, I see Justin Long in a car. I said, okay, all right, there he is. There's my guy. I hit pause on the movie and I Google and I realize the movie that I got mixed up with is called House of Darkness. Justin Long in that movie. That's also Justin Long horror film Creepy House. But totally different. But I didn't know that. I wasn't aware of it. How many Creepy House movies can one actor have that come out at the same time? Like, what the fuck, right? So I kind of laughed at myself. And I said, well, okay, that's where I got slipped up. Now, I was probably going to watch the movie Barbarian anyway, but it's weird. I really wanted to see this other film, House of Darkness. I finished Barbarian. It's as good as advertised. Maybe not quite. There were people that thought that Justin Long could even get a Best Supporting Actor nomination. He's very, very good in that movie. But I had wanted to see this other film, House of Darkness. That's the movie where Justin Long meets Kate Bosworth at a bar, and he offers to give her a ride home, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, hoping to get a little bit of, extracurricular activity. Or in the immortal words of Jack Tebow, the late, great Jack Tebow, terrific actor. In the movie Action Jackson with, sadly, the late Carl Weathers, Jack Tebow was having a conversation with Bill Duke, another actor from Predator with Carl Weathers, Bill Duke as a police chief. And he's discussing another character who has passed and how this character was working late with a female colleague. And we know that nothing happened between them because we watched the scene unfold. But Jack Tebow, he goes, coroners don't think that he was giving her the old protein pickup. At which point Bill Duke, with that incredible deadpan, goes, please keep a leash on your vocabulary. But in House of Darkness, Justin Long's character drives Kate Bosworth home in the hope of giving her the old protein pickup. It's very, very clear. But as far as Barbarian, when I realized and I hit pause and I reset my thinking, okay, this is a different movie. This is terrific. It's not what I thought it was going to be. Justin Long is not meeting a woman at a bar and going to a creepy house 43 minutes into the film. He's on the Pacific Coast Highway. It's the middle of the day, and he's singing Ricky Tikki Tavi. You want to talk about a top 10 greatest scenes in any movie in the last 10 years? Justin Long flying down the Pacific Coast Highway. He's not even he's just almost karaokeing to with the top down, Ricky Tikki Tavi. Mongoose has gone. Yeah, amazing. So then we realize, yes, Justin Long has a connection to the creepy house in this insane fuckery that takes place in the first 43 minutes of the movie. He's the owner of the house that this stuff took place. And then the movie unfolds and goes forth, and Justin Long's character is a successful actor. He has some allegations of doing some really terrible shit, and just listening to him explain himself to other people is like, okay, this is not the typical Justin Long character from those other movies. Not even the movie that he did with Liam Neeson, where Liam played, I think Liam played a mortician. Was it called Afterlife? I think it was called Afterlife. Also, very interesting movie. But Justin Long's character in that movie was not really that bad. He was flawed. But Barbarian continues, and there are moments of real terror in the second half, and Justin Long is part of it. And this is an example of a movie, just Barbarian, where the audience identification with an actor helps the film. Like, there are certain actors that you cast in a particular difficult role because of the audience identification. I'll give you an example also in a thriller genre, not really horror, Vertigo. If we simply, and as I always say, Vertigo is consistently ranked as one of the two or three greatest films in the history of cinema. I don't think it's even Hitchcock's best film, but that's neither here nor there. But Vertigo is about a very disturbed man, James Stewart, John Ferguson or Scotty, a police detective who has acrophobia. It gives him vertigo. He retires from the police force. He becomes obsessed, really obsessed with this woman, and not really even the woman. He becomes obsessed with the idea of a woman, a particular woman. And then he will remake somebody into her image. The film is so fucked up. But by casting James Stewart, whether or not Hitchcock planned this out ahead of time, this part is unknown. But because James Stewart, up until that point in his career, had played an awful lot of humble good guys. It's kind of like Henry Fonda playing the most disgusting villain in the history of Western cinema in Once Upon a Time in the West. Jesus Christ, it's Henry Fonda! Same idea. So James Stewart in Vertigo is a very fucked up, twisted SOB. He doesn't think he is. He doesn't seem like an okay guy, but he is very messed up, and he needs professional help. He should not be out walking amongst us. But because it's James Stewart, we keep waiting for him to do It's a Wonderful Life kind of stuff. We wait for him to do James Stewart, Philadelphia Story. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. We're waiting for that James Stewart to show up, and instead, the character just goes further and further down the rabbit hole of madness and despair. So Justin Long, in Barbarian, you keep waiting for the character to be something other than what he seems to be, which is basically being nice. He's a schmuck. And I'm giving enormous latitude when I simply say he's a schmuck. But he is really not as great of a guy as we want him to be, because, at least me, I like Justin Long. The movie Accepted, I thought was it's a piece of crap. Yeah, it's a piece of crap, but the movie was funny. He's great. Jonah Hill, very young, also great. But his character in Barbarian was challenging, and it was something different for him, even within the realm of horror. I know he had done Tusk previously, a lot of people, kind of a culty sort of a horror film. But Justin Long's character in Barbarian, he goes places you're not expecting him to. He challenges himself as an actor, doing things we don't expect from Justin Long. And I've said this before, it bears repeating. When those in the movie business who we know for certain things go in a different direction, try something new to them, all props. Now I understand they're all making a shit ton of money. It's not like laying brick every day. I get that. But as fans, it's okay. We're not doing anything wrong if we root for them. And it is crazy, but in some quarters, Justin Long got some Oscar buzz for Barbarian because of what he does, essentially showing up when the movie is 40% or more over and just taking over and running the show from that point. So Barbarian, as I say, highly recommended. A very, very good horror film. It was, as I say, on HBO Max or Max. I don't know if it still is. It might be. I don't like spending other people's money. It's worth the $2 or $3 rental, though, if you haven't seen it. If you're in the mood to get the shit scared out of you and screaming at characters, don't go into the basement. What are you, stupid? How many horror movies do you have to see? Don't go into the basement. Guess where the characters go? But then again, as the late, great Roger Ebert used to say when he talked about dead teenager movies, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, the Halloween sequels, even Phantasm to some extent, Roger Ebert always said, all of our friends are dying. There's a masked superhuman strength killer running loose. Let's take off our clothes and go skinny dipping. Going into the basement when you already know there's creepy shit going on? Not the best course of action, in my humble opinion. Stay the fuck out of the basement. Rule number one, right? Remember Scream, they're going over the rules from horror movies. And as Siskel and Ebert back then said, because they both loved the original Scream because it did something different, they said the characters avoid the old stupid mistakes from the movies that Roger and I both hated. And then Roger Ebert said, that's exactly right, Gene. Now they make new stupid mistakes. Well, in Barbarian, they make the old stupid mistakes of going into the basement and just to look around. You know, we're just going to look around. Hello? Right. So the movie House of Darkness, about a week after I watched Barbarian, and it was telling people this story of how I really felt like not the most intelligent person around. Not that I am, but I felt as if my IQ was lower than I like to think perhaps it is, because I could have made a mistake as obvious as that. Someone else in 5 minutes would have said, Jared, this is not that movie you were talking about. You realize that, don't you? No. House of Darkness premiered on Hulu. And he said, oh, look at this. I don't even have to pay extra. Ooh. So sure enough, House of Darkness. There's Justin Long and there's Kate Bosworth. And they're driving home. And there's a spooky mansion right up at the beginning of the movie, as I should have known, but I did not. So House of Darkness, the character that Justin Long plays, and the movie is very, very good at, I don't know if I would say not taking sides, but it's possible, and I'm someone who loves nuance. I used to be boom, boom, but now I'm more like this. I like debating within normal parameters of debate, and I like nuance. I'm less of a fan of full-on dastardly villainy. I'd rather the anti-hero. I'd rather the character that at certain points could be heroic and at other times could be villainous. There's one reason why I was a fan of the old TV show, The Shield. Was it Mackey was the name of the character? Was it Vic Mackey that Michael Chiklis played? But the point is that this guy was corrupt. He was really corrupt. But deep down, his heart was in the right place, and he did try to be a good cop. And that kind of gray area is to me where that show succeeded. So in this film, House of Darkness, which is still on Hulu, I should point out, very, very, I think it's terrific. The reviews aren't great. I don't know why. The movie is gorgeously shot, and I thought it worked very well for what it was trying to do. You know, Neil LaBute, the writer-director, super talented guy. He's had some ups and downs. He did the Wicker Man remake with Nicolas Cage. Total disaster. Horrible. I love Nicolas Cage, and I'm a fan of Neil LaBute's work. That sucked. Just watch the first Wicker Man from '73, Robin Hardy's version, which is an incredible movie, starring the late, great Sir Christopher Lee and Edward Woodward, who later played the original incarnation of the Equalizer that Denzel has played now in 3 movies so far. So House of Darkness, the nuance is that both Kate Bosworth and Justin Long as the principal characters, there are other characters in the house and whatnot, but they're the 2 key characters. And the movie dances back and forth between them flirting politely, not really flirting, him clearly wanting to get her clothes off, but not going over the line to be a complete asshole, and her playing back at him, sometimes in a playful way and other times in a more or less threatening way. And we know that something is going to happen in this movie. Like, if you just go in with what I said, I'm not going to spoil this at all, because I feel like this movie is definitely underrated. It's not as good as Barbarian, if you want me to say that. But this movie, House of Darkness, is absolutely worth seeing. It really looks great. And the dialogue, the work from Neil LaBute at the script level, and, if he gave his actors some room to maneuver, the verbal parrying between Kate Bosworth and Justin Long is really good. It feels natural. It feels like two people who are probably attracted to each other's looks. The guy wants it, and the girl, probably not. But it doesn't mean that she doesn't ever want to deal with this person again, or that in her own way she doesn't have plans for him. But her instinct is that I'm not having sex with this guy tonight. But they continue to talk. We meet other characters, and things take place, again, without spoiling it, which take place in horror movies. There are creepy characters, there's creepy settings, but it's totally unlike Barbarian. This movie, House of Darkness, is subtle. Barbarian is as subtle as a jackhammer. It's as subtle as Al Pacino with a chainsaw in Scarface. Both films are horror films. And both films feature challenging performances from Justin Long. And the characters he plays in each are a lot different. I would argue, without going into too much spoiler territory, the character he plays in House of Darkness is a nicer guy. He's not the Justin Long we remember from earlier movies, but he's at least in the ballpark where he's somewhat reasonable. It would be difficult to have a movie where the guy clearly wants to get with the girl, and he's going to come across like Cary Grant in, North by Northwest or or Charade, where the woman is more or less making the play for him. House of Darkness works in a different way than Barbarian. It's more of what you would call a slow building dread. Now, there's slow building dread in Barbarian, but there is also beating the audience over the head with horror, as opposed to where House of Darkness, we keep feeling like something's definitely working here. Something strange is going on. There's something, we don't know if there's something like wrong with the house. Is it a haunted house? Is the Kate Bosworth character some kind of being, or is she just a normal woman who expresses herself a little bit differently than most people might? But at the end of the film, I thought it was, hey, this is great. This is two terrific horror movies that Justin Long made in the same year. That's pretty damn impressive. And actually the release dates, if I'm not mistaken, were only 6 weeks apart. I believe that Barbarian hit theaters first. It didn't do huge business, I don't think. Not 100% on that. House of Darkness definitely did not do much business. But as I say, both are worth seeing. Not just if you're a fan of Justin Long. Yes, if you like him in general and you haven't seen Tusk, which I haven't. Too many people have told me, don't do it. You'll be scarred for life. Okay, I trust you. Although I have seen movies that have scarred for life, like Salo, the Pier Paolo Pasolini absurdity from the mid-1970s. Movie got him assassinated. You imagine making a movie so incendiary that Generalissimo Francisco Franco, Chevy Chase all those years ago. In other news, Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still dead. Generalissimo Francisco Franco, allegedly, had Pier Paolo Pasolini assassinated because of the movie Salo. But if you're a Justin Long fan, watch both of these movies, and you like horror? They're both horror. They're both... See, this is where it gets weird. I don't find horror movies fun. Some people do. I really don't. I enjoy horror films, but not from a perspective of the funhouse aspect. And I know plenty of people that, for example, A movie with a lot of jump scares, like Boogeyman, which I saw not that long ago. A movie with a lot of jump scares. Yes, you're jumping. You might be screaming, but it's fun. I usually am very tense and maybe riveted, as I was riveted in Barbarian, but not, oh my God, the movie is so enjoyable. More like, this is a great horror film, but it's rough stuff. I don't find this to be a gay old time at the movies, to use a 1930s phrase. House of Darkness is also not a fun time because of the way the suspense just gradually builds and builds and builds. Whereas Barbarian, you have slow crescendo, slow crescendo. It goes in almost fits and starts, but it all works. And it's funny that I hadn't thought about the Justin Long mix-up in quite some time until seeing somebody say something in the ballpark, which is, hey, I thought I saw this movie, and newsflash, this is now my first time seeing it. I thought I was watching what turned out to be House of Darkness, but it was actually Barbarian. And lo and behold, both films were terrific. And with that, we've reached the end of episode 77, double sevens, lucky sevens, of the Confessions of a Not So Dangerous Mind podcast. I'd like to thank you for spending part of your Saturday evening here with me in New York, in the studio. If you checked out episode 77 on the YouTube channel and are enjoying the content, haven't done so already, please click like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Or if you're checking out episode 77 on the audio platforms such as Spotify or iTunes, click like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. I'll be back with episode 78 real soon. Take care and peace out.